Sleepy Joe is hitting back with his own nickname for the president. Tiger Woods' journey from the pages of the tabloids to the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and Washington is preparing another round of Moscow Muellers for more congressional testimony. See, instead of Moscow Mules. Okay. May soon be Mueller time.
With us today for Team Rising, we got Raheem Kassam, Global Editor-in-Chief of Human Events, and Don Calloway, Democratic Strategist and CEO of Pine Street Strategies. Raheem and Don, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
To the Matrix.
Originally there was some, I don't know if I would say enthusiasm, but willingness from the administration and Trump in particular to hear directly from Bob Mueller, which I think is something that a lot of the American people would like to have. He has changed his mind on that and is now saying no redos for the Dems. Do we have those tweets? We could put them up. No redos for the Dems, because, you know, we don't want to hear from Mueller, et cetera, et cetera. What's going on here, Don?
Obfuscation. That has been the theme of this presidency for 2 years. We don't want to see his tax returns. I'm going to sue Deutsche Bank to not release my financial information. I won't let Bob Mueller testify. I won't let Bob Barr go testify to the House after a day in the Senate. I mean, this is what the president does. And 435, it wasn't exactly 435, but 430-something to 0 is what the House voted on a bipartisan basis to see the full unredacted Mueller report. This president has something to hide. We don't know what it is, but he's not serving the American people in any way. He's serving his own private interests. Yeah, worst president ever. There's really not much more to say.
Wow, right? Just going for that.
Amazing conclusion there. Just jumped about 50 points.
But that's where we are.
Hashtag worst president ever.
It's where we are.
That's what Tom Arnold said last night.
Raheem, you can just co-sign that if you want.
You and Tom Arnold,
we have
best buddies on that.
We've had 2 years of the Mueller probe. Mueller's gone through everything. He's been throwing people in prison for minor lies. He's been just completely turned all this upside down. Now you get Democrats complaining about how they can't see everything in the Mueller. Well, some of that has to do with just E6 information, which is grand jury. It has nothing to do with Trump. It's not some new rule that people came up with all of a sudden to protect Trump. Trump waived executive privilege. It's never enough, is it? There's no such thing as enough transparency with this president.
And it's not like Eric Holder ever tried to avoid testifying before Congress either. You know, this is the partisan stuff doesn't really bother me either way on this. What bothers me is America needs to recover from the Mueller report right now. It's divided the country, and it didn't do anything. If you think about it, it didn't move the issue either way. The president comes out with no collusion, but not really no obstruction. Mueller and the FBI and the Democrats and everybody who wanted him gone didn't get anything out of this anyway. All it did was serve to drive a massive wedge down the middle of the country.
I think that wedge was already long there.
Well, it solidified the wedge. It added. I agree with Raheem. It added
a layer to the wedge.
I don't think that's right. I think after the election there was an opportunity. This is why he didn't pursue Hillary Clinton. There was an opportunity to clear the air. And the other side said, no, we want to keep fighting this battle.
Okay, but one of the things we learned in the Mueller report, if you actually read it instead of the 4-page, very misleading summary, is that the president actually did want Sessions and others to go after Hillary Clinton. So the idea that he just let it go, let bygones be bygones, is not true. But, I mean, Raheem, what is the argument against hearing from Mueller? Because now we have this contradiction out there. You know, Democrats are saying, and I agree with this, that Barr misrepresented what was in the report. Mueller was clearly not exactly happy with how this all went down. Can't we just hear from Mueller himself?
He also wasn't happy with the way the media portrayed it, so why not put him in front of a panel of media critics in order to talk about how it was portrayed?
You could hear that. If that's really what was going on, he's unhappy with the media
I think it will happen anyway. I think we will get to hear from Mueller, by the way, and I think it's probably the right thing to do in very short order, right? Yeah. Get it out of the way. I think there is an argument against it, however. The argument against it is you had a massive investigation. You had several years of this, and there was nothing. If I tell you there's a pen in a room and you rip the room upside down and try and find this pen and it's not there, guess what? It's not there.
But there are reasonable, first of all, America, I'm in a very untenable position today because it's hard to debate against a British guy, a British accent guy, because they always sound so erudite, right? So beyond that,
I can do an American accent if it helps.
Yeah, please, that'd be awesome.
I'd like to hear that, actually, can you?
Offset.
Okay.
All right. So listen, you know, it is fair. We have a massive investigation. You're right. We have a substantial report. Right now, the only official word we've gotten from that report is a partisan summary of that report. It is reasonable to read.
They released the whole report.
No. But the only person we've heard from speaking on it is a partisan summarizer, a political hack who has summarized it and frankly has slanted it.
What more? You have the full report.
It's fair to read the full report, and it's fair to say that reasonable minds can have some questions emanating from this report. And the person to ask is Bob Mueller, and that should be the end of it. It shouldn't be a partisan attack situation. It should.
I agree with Raheem that this should it should happen. It should happen quickly because it's going to happen, and so there's this fight back and forth. I think that what this is a representation of is that there's a very obvious understanding that there's zero good faith on any of this stuff. Like no one wants to have all the stuff about defending our democracy and everything else. That was all crap. They hate Trump. They want to continue to talk about things that either agitate or make the president look bad. And so this is what we're going to keep doing with it. We're going to keep flailing.
The president, he now needs his term extended by 2 years to make up for this 2 years that is lost.
Constitutional conservatives.
Stalin, S-T-O-L-L-E-N, I believe was how
and I also think
what's up with his spell? Like, does he just have autocorrect turned off? Is that what the deal is?
I really think he does it to troll people.
He's a real American. He misspells things on Twitter. We all do it. It happens.
Oh, I don't do
and we
it.
get crushed for it. Raheem doesn't, but he's got that British accent. Okay, you also have today.
Happy story.
Tiger Woods going to the White House, Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Don?
I was happy to see Tiger Woods win the Masters. I think I've been here since he won it. It was a celebratory day for me. This is something that should go to our nation's, this is our nation's highest civilian honor. I don't see where Tiger, he does have some school stuff and some community stuff. This is Trump giving an award to his buddy, and they're both I don't really have a lot of profound stuff to say about this. I don't like it. I don't love it. I think there's a whole lot of people who are in the line for the Presidential Medal of Freedom before Brother Eldrick. And I will say, Brother Eldrick, if I could speak directly to him, he had a dramatic opportunity to do a lot of stuff in terms of connecting with underprivileged communities, and I just don't think he's done it. Over the course of now 25 years in the public eye, I would have liked to see him do a lot more. Maybe he does that as Tiger 2.0 now that he's come back.
Raheem, everybody loves a comeback. This is quite a comeback.
I think it's fine. I mean, it didn't move me particularly. I think this is a better recipient than donors, right? Than Miriam Adelson. I think that when you give the Presidential Medal of Freedom to donors, I think you're getting into really sketchy territory.
Is that the bar?
Well, he's saying it's trending in the right direction.
This is a cultural award. It really is about Americans who have made major cultural
let's just throw in
achievements.
there. They have a business related. I mean, that's part of what stinks here. Is it's like. It's his buddy, it's also his business partner. So you always ask with Trump, is this good for the country or is this good for Trump?
I think it's broadly good. I mean, again, it doesn't move me particularly, but I don't think it hurts anybody. And Tiger Woods, it is a big comeback story. He is an incredible athlete. I just don't think it's worth it, sort of picking on him about this.
That's fair. It's not the hill I'm willing to die on, but I also think, like I said, there's a lot of people who deserve the Presidential Medal of Freedom long before we get to Tiger.
Who's your top guy?
Oh, I mean,
who would get Don's Presidential Medal of Freedom?
Hard.
Oh man,
put someone on the spot like that.
Yeah, but if that's what we're gonna do,
gotta think about it.
Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Marion Wright Edelman, who is one of the great living Americans. Brian Stevenson, the greatest living human being, as far as I'm concerned.
Dave Chappelle, Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Oh, I love Dave Chappelle from here in the district. But go with Marion Wright Edelman. Go with Father Michael Flager out of Chicago. Go with Brian Stevenson, Just Mercy. Amazing book, amazing guy. It's a long list before you ever get to Tiger Woods.
Got any thoughts, Raheem, since you put Don on the spot?
Buck Sexton.
Done.
He's welcome back anytime.
Co-sign.
That's right.
That is where we can agree.
There we go.
All right, we also have a battle of the nicknames, which I think is very ill-advised. But apparently Biden has picked a nickname for Trump in response to being called Sleepy Joe. He's calling Trump clown. Don, is this a strong place to stand?
It's not. So I do appreciate that from day one, from the beginning of his campaign, Joe Biden's plan was to kind of rise above this primary fray of 30 people and to take the fight to Trump.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I like that.
Do you?
But you have to stay above the name calling. You have to stay above the antics of a Donald Trump. When you wrestle with the pig, you get money and the pig is happy about it, right? So, this is something that he should be above. He should be bigger than this.
Clown is not gonna cut it, Raheem. Clown is not. This is not gonna. Yeah.
This is the whole thing about the left can't meme. This is so weird. Trump's nicknames for people are basically memes, right? And he's very, very good at it. You used one analogy, I'll use another. You come at the king, you best not miss, right? And clown misses by a country mile. It also disproves what Joe Biden has been trying to say, is that I'm above all of this, I'm the elder statesman, you can trust me to be serious when running a country.
That's true.
And it will cause a disparity and a lack of continuity in people's minds subconsciously that will turn them off.
I also think it's a different thing when you're running in an open election for a presidential seat that is not occupied by either aspirant at that point. He's a clown. He's the leader of the free world, Joe Biden. Well, you can call him the clown whatever you want, but he is actually the commander-in-chief of the United States military, and the antics are not. This will not go well. He should learn the lesson from Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio would be in a better position for his career, I think, at this point as a politician, if he hadn't decided to try to play Trump's game, because he lost that game.
Fully agree, and so much of the love that Joe Biden currently gets, part of the reason why he's out in front, is despite his record, he had the most proximity to our Lord and Savior Barack Obama. And this is anti-Barackian, right? But you would never see President Obama getting into this type of tit for tat, this type of silliness. The defining characteristic of President Trump is that he's incredibly small, he's incredibly petty. And we want to see characters like Joe Biden be bigger than. You know, we want to see our world leaders make us lift our eyes and be, more substantive, more dignified. And this is very small. This is not that important. But it's an indication that Joe is willing to be a little bit less than what we're looking for.
I think in his second 4 years, Don, you'll see more of a
more
magnanimity.
Yes. Waiting for that presidential moment. I mean, I think he's picking up on a couple of failed strategies. One is the Marco Rubio failed strategy, which was just a disaster, but also the Hillary Clinton failed strategy of making it a contest of character. And Americans basically said, we don't care that much.
Right.
And also trying to jump the queue. Trying to jump the queue of the Democrat candidates. You know, I think he actually should get down and dirty in those debates and prove why he should be the nominee, rather than trying to rise above it. Now, I realise why he won't want to, because there's a risk factor at play there, but I think you come out of the primary competition stronger if you do that. Don't forget, the reason Trump engaged so heavily with his opponents in the primary campaign was so he could emerge having sucked all of the energy from all of the other candidates, and he got a lot of energy from some and not a lot from others, but he came out looking like this big gorilla who was walking into the... And I think Joe Biden needs that.
People forget also, Biden ran back in the election where Kerry was the nominee, and there were other, John Edwards. Democrats would like to forget about that one. There were some other folks who had breakouts. Biden was like a 1% or less guy. He never got anywhere when he was running for the president before. I know now he's been vice president for 8 years, but I don't know if that really translates into, this is the guy, this is our champion for fighting against Trump. He has no record of success doing that.
If Barack Obama could have run for a third term, he would have won. If he was competing now for a fourth term, he also would have won. Joe Biden is where he is because of his proximity to the most popular figure in American politics. It's that simple.
Is that enough? I think that's hard.
It looks like right now it probably will be. My mama is probably voting for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And
Mine
my mom,
too.
yes.
Our moms are.
And there are qualified, competent women in the race. There are qualified, competent African Americans in the race. That's what she's going to do. And she's not the only one. Joe Biden will be extraordinarily competitive with the identity politics of the Democratic Party, and that is because of his proximity to Barack Obama.
But my question is, though, is that enough to win? I agree. I think that he is the front runner. I think he's a strong front runner.
Right,
I mean, he's very popular in the Democratic Party. People aren't asking a lot of questions. They're not looking for a lot of alternatives.
Right.
Most of that is happening at the pundit class. Can he beat Trump, though?
I think he can. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Raheem. I would imagine that he's probably the one that, despite what the RNC spokesperson said a moment ago, I would imagine he's probably the one that Trump is most concerned about. You don't hear Trump making up nicknames about Wayne Messam right now. He's just not on the radar.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wayne Messam.
So I think he's probably the one they're most concerned about, because he makes those all-important Rust Belt states a little bit more competitive.
What do you think, Raheem?
Yeah, I think he could beat Trump, but I think the answer to that question is very much in the Trump campaign's hands rather than in Joe Biden's hands. Actually, I think it requires a bad campaign to be run by the Trump campaign in certain states and in certain parts of those states. And I think Biden could squeeze through in those areas, and that's why the strategy he's deploying at the moment, with suddenly Joe Biden, the workers' man again, has come out. I think that's probably the right strategy to deploy right now. But I think if the Trump campaign is even semi-competent, I just don't see him. You know what I'd really like to see? Tulsi Gabbard. I think that would be a fantastic debate, Gabbard versus Trump.
She's very,
I like Tulsi too, actually.
It's smart. It's smart. It's deep thinking. It's fundamentally unappealing to most voters, but she actually has thought about the issues.
I think that's fair.
I want to hear from Marianne Williamson, soul healer.
We heard from her.
We had her here. She was very interesting.
My heel not yet sold. I'm not gonna lie. Not yet. There's still a hole in my soul, Don. All right.
Control Room wants you to know that Meghan Markle is in labor. Thoughts? Feelings?
Right on.
Go
We
Meghan.
do have a British guy here. So.
Yeah, I'm
know.
afraid we don't like Americans in our royal family, so I'm sorry. I'm against it. The last time it
You're
happened was
against
Wallis
it.
Simpson, and then a king had to abdicate.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
I didn't know
Do you?
that.
Oh yeah. He's
Really?
saying
I've never
like
heard
Americans who marry into the British royal family, he looks at the history
cause all sorts of trouble.
what happened with right around the time of Winston Churchill and the abdication. You know, the King's Speech, that whole movie. Yeah.
No.
Bad
Sorry.
news. But
Sorry.
congratulations
I don't know my
anyway.
British history.
you
I'm
know.
sorry. Yes, congratulations.
having a
Good
baby,
luck. I've had a
fine.
number of babies. It's not a fun thing to go through, but it's a wonderful thing when you come out on the other side. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Meghan.
absolutely.
Gentlemen,
Team,
thank
you so much.
Thank you for
Yes,
having
thank
us.
you.